you're not involved. Don't try to convince yourself that these problems don't affect you at all. Because now it's Lebanon, Azania, Grenada. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and watch your children go off to war. Don't stand back and wait for this violence to come to your door. Because now it's Chile, Guatemala, El Salvador. How many more? Tell me now. How?
Peace and love, family. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with my brother,
Brother Tariq,
former political prisoner and former member of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army. Today, we focus on Mumia Abu-Jamal. He's turning 71 tomorrow. You know, we look at what's going on currently. We look on the attack on the Palestinian people. We look on about the attack on just everybody living in the United States who struggle for food, clothing, shelter. We're struggling for our own self-determination. You know, you could work a job 9 to 5, 40 hours a week and still are struggling for food, clothing, and shelter. So we're out here today to talk about, you know, what's happening in the world, but specifically what's happening with our political prisoners and Mumia Abu-Jamal and what he's done for us for so long and why he is so important to our struggle continuously for our self-determination. Brother?
yes. First, I want to start out by saying happy birthday, Mumia. Mumia, we love you. I am Tariq. I am a Black Panther. I am a former member of the Black Liberation Army. I spent 17 years in various American death camps as a prisoner of war. We love you, Mumia, for being the voice of the voiceless. We love you for speaking out against white supremacy, for speaking out against homophobia, for speaking out against fascism, and we love you for speaking out against misogyny. And we love you for having been a Black Panther, because when you were a Black Panther, that meant you were for free healthcare, you were for free schooling, and you were for free housing, you were for free transportation, and you were for taking the industries from the ruling class and using the profits from the industry to finance all those free things. And that is one of the reasons why the ruling class agents really hate Mumia, because they're talking about using the profits from the industries owned by the ruling class and using those profits to be the revenue to finance all the free things that we should have at this point in our life. So Mumia, we love you.
For those of you who do not know who Mumia is and tuning in to this program to learn more about Mumia, Mumia is a revolutionary journalist. He has been writing since age 15, first as Minister of Information for the Philadelphia chapter of the Black Panther Party from 1969 to 1971, then for numerous Philadelphia radio and print venues, including National Public Radio. His journalism was featured in mainstream venues, but he refused to forget those whom corporate media routinely neglect. He was especially noted for covering police harassment of the MOVE organization, while other journalists ignored it. His writings today, after 39 years in prison, that's what the time of the publication, but it's more than that, now fill 12 books and thousands of radio and print columns and publications ranging from homeless street newspapers to Forbes magazine and a Yale Law Review. One of the things about Mumia that inspires me is the fact that you see what I just read. He has a long history of standing up to those who oppress his people and not being afraid. He made immense sacrifices in his life, from being beaten by police to dodging death row. And one of the things he's done, he stood on principle. He didn't stop fighting, and I respect that tremendously. And it inspires me to ask myself questions: what am I doing, and am I doing enough? If my work producing results, and if not, why not? And how much more I need to do? And that makes me think about Imam Jamil Al-Amin. Um, he's currently, I was told that he has 10 months to live. So, keep him in your mind, your thoughts, and your prayers, whatever you do to put strength out in the world, commit yourselves to being part of organizing. Make sure you find out what you can contribute to, because we can't let our political prisoners die in prison. We have to do as much as we can to bring them home, because as I've said before, that that only uh, makes others who are thinking about getting involved in this work think twice, because if it happened to somebody who chose to do the work, then what's going to happen to them? That being said, we have to ask ourselves, what will Mumia do is as it relates to our political prisoners? I know that he would write. I know that he would have public engagements. I know that he would do his part to organize people to get involved. Because if you happen to live in New York, if you happen to live in California, wherever you at, you are responsible for your community, your nation's response to a particular idea. And this particular idea is our political prisoners. So you have the power to take a position.
Now, Jalil El-Amin is like Mumia. He has a long history of being involved in the struggle. Jalil El-Amin was a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee for a while, and at one point he became the president of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And as you know, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, they did a lot of voters registration in the South, and he went from being the president of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to joining the Black Panther Party, and he functioned in that capacity. And so that is to say that he has a history of fighting for our people, and so he need us now to fight for him. And as it was pointed out, his son came on to the media and pointed out that our brother Jalil El-Amin only has 10 months to live. So we want to redouble our efforts to get him out so that he can be amongst his family and friends. So Jamil El-Amin, keep him in mind and do what you can to help get him out of prison.
Absolutely. As I read this book, because one of the things that I know is very important is that we continue to examine Mumia's life and what he was confronting during the time of his incarceration. Like when I read about him standing up against police brutality, him advocating and being the voice of MOVE. We have to look at exactly what happened, right? Because Mumia is talking about police brutality, and all of a sudden now he's incarcerated initially on death row, and to be killed. He's getting attention because of his position, just like Joy Powell was given attention because of her position against police brutality. So we have to think about the brother's bravery, and we got to ask ourselves, what does that mean to us? That's why, we're letting people know about the webinar tomorrow on his birthday. If you need specific information about that webinar, contact me at 347-679-3936. Share it with as many people as possible. I think about the books that Mumia wrote and his position against injustice, right? Mumia was very clear on what was happening. He understood how capitalism operates, why he's in prison. He realized that those who are in prison are only in prison because they don't have enough finances to fight their case. Because if they did, then their situation will be a whole lot different. I think that when we talk about Mumia, we have to look at the power that people have when we organize.
Okay.
Go ahead. What you was about to say, brother?
Mumia, as I pointed out, spoke out against fascism. He spoke out against police brutality, and we know that he was opposed to police brutality. He wrote against it, and that goes all the way back to when he was protesting against George Wallace, who was running for president. They beat Mumia so bad that when his mother went to the hospital to see him, she didn't even recognize him when she walked past him. But George Wallace was a real symbol of white supremacy, and George Wallace is famous for having said that segregation today, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. And he was especially opposed to, as a presidential candidate, he was opposed to the Little Rock Nine, who was trying to integrate the school system. So Mumia spoke out against that, and the authorities were very angry at him for being the voice to speak out against white supremacy and to speak out against police brutality. I think we should also, in thanking Mumia for having been the way he has been, for doing the things that he has done, we should bring up the matter that his parents are the reason why Mumia became the person that we know. And his parents are the persons who made Mumia so that he could do the incredible things and he could fight for our freedom and be our voice. And so we want to thank his parents for producing Mumia, for not yelling at him, for not beating him, and for not sending him to bed without food and all of that stuff, and for not training him to obey orders. Mumia's parents trained him to have a love for books, and they trained him to be a loving person. So we have to thank his parents for having done that, and we need more of our parents to be the way Mr. Cook was, and the way Mrs. Cook was, to treat their children that way, and then we can turn out thousands, if not millions, of Mumia Abu Jamal. So in thanking Mumia, the world owe thanks to his parents also.
We have to continue. Yes, exactly. So just as his parents had to be responsible for raising him and contributing him to our liberation struggle, we as parents, we as elders in the community, we have to be responsible for educating ourselves further on Mumia, because sometimes we hear the story so many times, we think that we know it from the front, the back, and in the middle. But we have to re-examine that and ask ourselves, why is it significant now, right? We have Palestinian political prisoners. They're standing on principles. They're doing what is necessary to make sure that their nation, their self-determination is protected. So as I prepare for this particular episode, and as I have this discussion with my brother and have discussion with my viewers, I have to read my library. I have to go to my library. I have to ask myself more questions about Mumia, take my mind back to what led up to Mumia being in the situation that he's currently in, and ask myself, what should that mean for me? Right. So Mumia is the United States' most internationally renowned political prisoner. Mumia is known worldwide as a political prisoner because of the political context of his arrest, sentencing, and imprisonment. He was arrested, tried, convicted, and sentenced in an era of rampant police brutality and also of activist resistance under former Philadelphia Mayor Frank Rizzo. In that period, Mumia uncompromisingly reported on police brutality and racism, exposing officials' brutal assault on the MOVE family and organization and on other national and international revolutionary movements. When he was found already shot at the scene of Officer Faulkner's shooting, police brutally beat Mumia beyond recognition, then charged him with the officer's shooting. He has been in prison ever since on the basis of a trial that systemically denied him due process, involving prosecutors' withholding of evidence, racial bias in jury selection, and a judge's rampant bias. Further, higher courts have routinely rejected Mumia's numerous appeals on the basis of exceptional rulings that denied him the courtesy of court precedents that often were extended to others who lodged the same appeals on the same grounds. So that's what Mumia's situation is. And we have to look at that and ask ourselves what's happening today with people who are political prisoners, and what must we learn from Mumia's situation. I think that we need to get inspired because of the fact that Mumia was sentenced to death. And it was people who organized, people who raised awareness about the injustice that got him off of death row. So we have to be inspired to do more. We can bring Mumia home, but it's going to be the quality of work that we commit ourselves to.
And as Frank said, Mumia was placed in jail because the authorities didn't like him speaking out, and they had contrived a scenario to ensnare him and to get him in jail. And that's what happened on that day in December 9th, 1981. They ensnared him, but they wanted to, the objective of ensnaring him was to silence him. And we have our Palestinian brother, they want to silence him too. Mahmoud Khalil is a person who they want to silence, and they are wrong. They are wrong in the charge that they have against Mahmoud Khalil, and that is the immigration law of 1798, and that's the same law that they used to intern the Japanese people, and they were interned, and some of them filed a legal action, and the legal action said that this matter of them being enemy aliens was wrong, and that they didn't qualify to be guilty of that law, and they really enslaved, they interned the Japanese and kept them in jail, and some of them have filed a court action, but the court slow walked the action until the war was over, and then the court ruled on the matter, and they said that the government was wrong for using that law to lock them up, and they're using that law on Mahmoud Khalil to silence him, and they are wrong. They was wrong in the case of the Japanese. They are wrong in the case of Mahmoud Khalil, and they was wrong in the case of Mumia Abu Jamal. And that's what is going on. Mumia is innocent, and as I say when I speak to people, the police are the persons who especially know, because they are trained in investigative techniques, and they know from the absence of what was done, and they know from what was done that Mumia is innocent. They especially know that Mumia is innocent.
And them knowing that he's innocent, I think that that's what makes it harder for him to come home, right? Because they know he's innocent, and they know that him being home is something that they're going to have to admit that they're guilty of, right? That they're wrongdoing, and that's going to be further political exposure. But we know that we have to be continuous with fighting for our political prisoners. It wasn't easy for Sundiata Akoli to come home, but yet he came home. It wasn't easy for Sekou Odinga to come home, but yet he came home. I know Sekou Odinga told me personally that that he was sentenced to life in prison, but he told the judge, "What makes you think that I'm going to be here for the rest of my life? You ain't God." And that led me to realize, you have to have the mind state that your political prisoner is not going to die in prison, that you're going to utilize your resources to bring your political prisoner home. And that's the mind state that we have to have. And Mumia said, he doesn't believe in being a martyr. That means that he's convinced that he's going to come home. And we have to be inspired by that. We have to check our mentality, our state of mind, and we have to commit ourselves to a state of mind of conviction, a state of mind of stern and firm discipline. So we're focused on getting our objective done. And our objective is to bring our political prisoners home, to free Mumia Abu Jamal, to free Joy Powell, to free Imam Jamil El-Amin, and to free Kamal Siddiqui and all our political prisoners, because that's our responsibility, because these are political family members, and we have to hold this relationship sacred to us, and we have to take it personally if we don't carry out our objective. And Mumia is a family member, and we have to honor our family member with that level of respect that it is warranted to them. So I ask that if you're viewing for the first time, please share with as many people. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Black Power Media. Do your role, do your part. Let's support our own media, because we have to be responsible for covering our story, documenting our life, because there's going to be a generation that comes after us, and they need to know what happened and who is doing what, and who was doing what and why. There's many questions to ask. What do you think the responsibility of the youth are to Mumia Abu Jamal?
I think that the youth should know their history and know our situation. And then once they know our situation, they'll know the importance of Mumia. And so they want to study our situation. study the history of America, and we'll go study the history of what's been occurring in the world, and they will know how important Mumia is in terms of freeing us from the misery and the torture that we have been subjected to all these years, and we are being subjected to during the present day. And so the youth want to study those things, and they want to know that Mumia wanted to change the institutions in society so that the institutions will begin to produce loving people. And the way the institutions are now, the nuclear family, the school situation, the military is a training venue also. But we want to change. We want to change all of these institutions so they will produce loving people, and especially the nuclear family. We want to go from the nuclear family being a hierarchical, stratified family situation to one being where there's no ranking in the family, and that the parents will be the model for the children, and then the children will, and they will be the model for the children, and their objective would be to let the child know the roles that the child will play once the child become an adult in the society. And we don't need a general, a father who's a general, and all the wife and the kids are the little soldiers, and he ordering them around. We don't need that. That turns out the kind of people who are doing the bombing in Palestine, the kind of people who are in Africa taking over those countries. America, anytime America is dealing with a country, they have a gangster relationship that they're maintaining, and so we want to change that, change all these institutions, and the family one is one of the first institutions we want to change, and we want to go back to how people raise their children. And then there are some tribes in Africa and some tribes in South America that still raise their children using the modeling method, and the modeling method would turn out beautiful, loving people. And the youth want to know that there's an alternative. The way you've been treated as a parent, I want to say, I want to apologize to the younger people. I want to say I'm sorry for calling you stupid. I'm sorry for saying that you do everything wrong. I'm sorry for yelling at you, and I'm sorry for all these things. I was told that that's the way to raise the children, and then I should teach the children the rules and regulations. And really, that's wrong, but I didn't know it was wrong. So I want to apologize for that. And that's what Mumia Abu Jamal is fighting to bring about, a new way of raising children so that there's no yelling, there's no dictating to the child. And that's, we're talking about a new family type behavior, parental behavior. And we're talking about that in terms of the school system too, the way the school is basically teaching the students to obey. We want to, Mumia Abu Jamal was fighting to change that and change that for the better. So the youth want to study those things and know that there is a different way and there is a better way, a better way. And all this tension and this one against that one, and this one watching that one, and this one killing this one and stabbing that one, all of that don't have to be. We can eliminate that. And the youth, once they do their studying, they will find the answers to how to change the world and make it better.
Absolutely, because our youth are the future. They have access to a number of different platforms to retrieve information about somebody. Just imagine when they type in Mumia Abu Jamal, his name, and learn more about who he is and why he did what he did in terms of raising awareness about our people, reporting the news from our perspective, our narrative, being brave, being on the front line, knowing that at any moment he can face police brutality, that he can be shot, that he can be locked up, that he could be in a position to never see his family again. So we have to salute that bravery, but we have to show respect in the level of we're going to commit ourselves to organized action. We're going to find out who is doing what, where, and why, and we put ourselves in a position to show solidarity on the streets, to struggle with them, to raise our people's consciousness, because that's what it's about, raising people's consciousness. That's why I make sure that whenever I get a chance, I'm wearing a shirt or of a political prisoner, or having something made or about a political prisoner, using my creativity. So somebody's going to see it and somebody's going to ask me, who is Joy Powell? Who is Sundiata Acoli? Who is Sekou Odinga? And that allowed me to have discussion. Like my brother right now has a shirt that says Free Mumia. And I think that, that's very important, because when we put our political prisoners out there, we put their names out there, we keep them alive, we keep them strong. We make sure that our oppressor has a think tank, we have a think tank. We are committed to our organizations, and when I say committed to them, that we are where we need to be to do what we need to do, and that is advocating for our political prisoners, which is advocating for our self-determination, because that's the position that our political prisoners take. They take it very seriously when it comes to our self-determination, our right to exist, our right to control our own destiny.
And we here, we're not trying to really try Mumia in this broadcast here, but here's a paper, the Jamal Journal is a paper containing all that you should know about the legal ins and outs of Mumia's case. And like I say, the police know, they are the person who especially know that Mumia is innocent. And it is pointed out in this paper that the police really felt that it was another person on the scene. And when Mumia was shot and the officer was shot, there was another person on the scene. And the night that the police bombed the Move family, and they killed 5 adults and 6 children. That night, they killed the other person who was on the scene with Mumia, who they really know, they feel was the one who killed the police. They already killed him. He was found naked and with a handcuff and a needle in his arm. So that, and then they also they killed him that day. But earlier they had bombed the Move family. The police had bombed the Move family. They killed 5 adults and 6 children, 11 people altogether, and they burned down 61 houses. And that reminds me, and the Palestinians know about the burning down of the 61 houses in the Move situation, and they know that their houses are being bombed, but some of their houses are still standing. In the case of the 61 houses in Philadelphia and the Move people, they burned down the whole block and left nothing standing. So, Black people are being subjected to the same things that the Palestinians are being subjected to. And so I just point that out to say that the trying of the Mumia's case is really done in this paper here, the Jamal Journal. So you want to check that out. And we want to know that Mumia is innocent. It'll be pointed out in the Jamal Journal. And we want to know that we are, like the Palestinians, we are being subjected to settler colonial violence. And our youth have to study our situation, and so that they'll know their top priority in today's world is to address the matter that we are being held in a terroristic situation, and we are being tortured and killed.
Yeah, so tomorrow is Mumia Abu Jamal's official birthday. There's going to be a webinar. You need the details of the webinar. Please contact me at 347-679-3936. Again, that's 347-679-3936. I'll give you the information because I know the QR code is not available for those who are viewing in different locations, and I understand that. That's why I'm offering my assistance in this matter to get you to be a part of this webinar, because we need to make time for our political prisoners. We need to make time for Mumia Abu Jamal and start thinking about what his sacrifices are and what does his sacrifice mean to us, because for him to be 71 and still in prison over 40 years, that should make us think, why is he still there? What are we doing for him not to come home, right? It's always something that we're not doing. So with that being said, we're going to bring this to an end. So like I said, the webinar is tomorrow. It starts at 7:30 Eastern Standard Times. Please don't let our political prisoners die in prison. Say a prayer, do a meditation, keep your thoughts good as it relates to Imam Jamil El-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. He has 10 months to live. Let's take it serious. to bring him home so that we can take care of him during this very, 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 very serious time.
And I want to say that I love you for tuning in to the broadcast, the program, because doing so is indicative of you being intelligent. It's indicative of you studying what's going on in the world. And I want to say also, I love you for having the courage to tune in to the broadcast, the program, because doing so is indicative of you being courageous, because as you know, our enemies are very upset with all of us for having these discussions and discussing the truth and letting their families know who the real criminals are in this situation in the world. It is not us. It's not Mumia. It is not Mahmoud Khalil. The real criminals are the capitalists, the fascists. And so I love you for having tuned in. Power to the people, free all of our political prisoners.
That's right. I know the call, free them all. Don't let political prisoners die in prison. Play your role, do your part. Happy birthday, my man. Peace and
Indians live proud and free before the oppressor's slavery. Black people live proud and free. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and say you're not involved. Don't try to convince yourself that these problems don't affect you at all. Because now it's Lebanon, Azania, Grenada. How many more? Tell me now. How many more? Don't you stand on the sidelines and watch your children go off to war. Don't stay